yesterday I was traveling with SpiceJet. My flight was cancelled, delayed and delayed. Supposed to leave at 3 p.m. It left at 1:30 a.m. in the morning, late at night. But it was so good to be here this morning. I know we have already enjoyed, we have heard the meaning of Christmas through song, through skits, and even through the cutting of cakes. But I would like to share with you just a few thoughts, what is really Christmas? But as I move on to the message of Christmas, I want to start with a poem. Okay? I want to start with a poem. When I think of any religious festival, whether it's a Christian festival or any other religious festival, this poem comes to me very fresh and very meaningfully. This poem was written by W.H. Davis. Some of us might have heard about this poem. He said like this: "What is this life if full of air? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows. No time to see when good tree pass, where squirrel hide the nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight, streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to turn at beauty plans. No time to turn at beauty plans and watch her feet, how they can dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A whole life is it, full of care. We have no time to stand and stare." What this song talks about is, we live in a busy world where we don't have time to stare, to reflect about our life. In fact, religious festival like Christmas or any other religious festival calls us to think deeply, to reflect about life, to reflect about the meaning of the festival, and to look how the message of this festival affected our life, the implications that it have for our lives and also for the whole humanity. But we live in a world, for all of you, you're working in IT industry, in a company, but we live in a business or a market-driven world, isn't it? We live in a market-driven world. That even religious festivals are so commercialized that we miss the meaning of the festival. Do you all agree with that? Whether you talk about any religious festival, it's so commercialized, it's so marketed that we miss the meaning of that festival. Example, like Christmas. We talk about Christmas tree, we talk about Santa Claus, we talk of decorations, we talk of cakes, we talk of party and merrymaking. But let me tell you, my friends, on the first Christmas day, strangely, nothing of these were there. You can celebrate Christmas without a Christmas tree, without a Santa Claus, and really understand what it really means. But as I said, in a market-driven world, in a commercialized world, many times these things get our attention and we miss the meaning of that religious festival. Actually, a festival like this helps us or calls us to think, to reflect, and to understand what it means to us personally, to our family, and also to the whole humanity. Because Christmas is not just a Christian festival. It means the message of Christmas have implications for the whole humanity. I have a friend who's a Marwari, he's a businessman. He used to tell me, he said, in Shillong, where I come from, because we celebrate Christmas in a big way, he said during December, their sale is like 4 months in other months of the year. So he said in December, even if God comes knocking at the door, they have to ask God, please wait. Because all that they do is marketing. What I want to share with you in this short time, I know all of you are tired, you're coming for work. I want to share just few thoughts on the essence, on the core of what Christmas really means. What Christmas really means. And that can be found in the Bible from John 3:16, where it says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that those who ever believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The love of God, the giving of God, and the salvation that God gave to us. Rabindranath Tagore, a Nobel laureate, said these words. I don't know whether Tagore is popular in Andhra also, but he's very popular in West Bengal and all over the world, in fact. Tagore said these words. He said, every child comes with a message that God is not yet discouraged of man. Every child comes to tell us that God is not yet discouraged with us, mankind. And as we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate the birth of not just another ordinary child, but the Son of the living God. For God so loved the world. 3 thoughts I want to share from here. The love of God. For God so loved the world. You know, Christmas is there because God is love. If God does not love, there is no Christmas. And the word love is a relational term. You know, a person loves only in the context of relationships. And when it's stated here that God loved, that means the God that I am talking, the God of Christmas, is a relational God. Sometimes when we think of God, we think only the transcendence of God, far away, isn't it? Far away. But on a Christmas day as we celebrate, when we talk about the love of God, it talks about the nearness of God, the closeness of God. And this God, who is infinite, reaches out to us who are finite. You know, as finite being, you cannot reach out to God. It is only the infinite, the being who is infinite, can reach us out to us. So a Christmas message is a message where it says that this God who is infinite become finite to reach out to us and to express His love. And you know, love is a counterculture to the world that we live today. We live in a world of lust, L-U-S-T, isn't it? A world where we want more, we want to exploit, but not a world of love. What is the basic difference between love and lust? Sometimes Bollywood or Tollywood, they misrepresent the word love, isn't it? But it is lust. Love is always giving, but lust is always expecting to get from others. It's exploitative. We live in a world of lust, but Christmas tells us that God so loved the world. And what is the difference between God's love and humans' love? God's love or divine love, it is unconditional love. Humans love, we love others because they love us, isn't it? We love others because we expect something to get from that person. Yes or no? And sometimes we love others because they speak our own language. We love others because they are from the same family. But the love of God is unconditional. As someone said, it is a love in spite of. A love that is in spite of, not because of. And Christmas story or Christmas message is telling us that this God who loved us so much sent His only Son on Christmas Day. The question that we can ask is, why do God love us? We are not so lovable, isn't it? We are ugly before God. We are dirty before God. But why do God love us? Have you ever asked that question? God loved us. It is because we are valuable before God. And why we are valuable before God? It is because God has created us in His image. If He has not created us, we will not be valuable. We love what we value. Sometimes, as I said, we abuse and misuse this word love. We say in the same term, I love you to a person, and I said, I love this cake. When I say I love the cake, I said I want to eat that cake, isn't it? But when I say I love you, it doesn't mean I want to eat you. You know, God loved us because we are valuable. And we are valuable because we are created in His image. We are valuable to God. You know, we live in a world, as I said, in a market-driven world. How do human beings, how do the world look at us as human beings? Many times they look at us in three perspectives. Number one, they look at us just as machine. One boy who have just finished his IIM, he's working in Calcutta. He said, when I met him, he said, I thought he will be so happy. But he said, brother, I'm not happy because my company is using me as a machine, making me work from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night. The world that looked at us, they value us as machine. That means they value us because of the output that we can give. If there's no output, that means I'm not valuable. Isn't that the world that we live? If my output is not good, I am not valuable. The world look at us just as machine. That's why Carl Sagan, who said, what is man? Man is molecules in motion. We're just machine. That's what the world looked at us. Secondly, the world, especially the advertisement world, the market world, look at human beings just as sexual beings to exploit, to abuse. And sometimes, especially in the advertisement world, I used to be surprised, even when they advertise a water or a refrigerator, suddenly there will be a body that will be shown there. A semi-clad woman will be shown their model. See the way the market values us just like sexual beings. Thirdly, the way the world also values us just as our commercial values in terms of money, in terms of our output, as I said, as machine, as sexual being, as commercial being. But a Christmas celebration reminded us, please listen to this carefully, a Christmas celebration reminded us that God values us just as we are. God values us just as we are because we are created in the image of God. That's why God loves you and me. In fact, Christmas is a celebration of the value and dignity of a human being. That's why God took the form of man, of a human being. Friends, I want to share with you today. Sometime maybe some of you are coming here, think that you are being used. Sometimes you don't think that you are loved, isn't it? But Christmas is a celebration where we celebrate the love of God because you and I are valuable and we are valuable just the way we are. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to give an output. I don't have to give anything. But I am valuable. I am precious. I am important before God. That's why the theme of Christmas is that God came down into this world because He loved us. Someone asked this question, when did Christmas begin? They said, oh, it's 2,000 years back in Bethlehem. But no, it's not that. Christmas began from the very heart of God, the God who loves. As I said at the beginning, this God of Christmas is not a God who's far away from us, but it's a God who's near us, who tells us that He loved us. Secondly, this verse also said, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. Give. Someone said, we can give without loving, but we cannot love without giving. When we love, we give, isn't it? Sometimes we give without loving also. When you are in a railway station, when these beggars come to you, many times we don't give because we love them, isn't it? Sometimes we give to get rid of them. But we love, when we love, we cannot help but giving. So Christmas also is not just a time when we celebrate the love of God, but in that love, here is a God who gives Himself up. As we know the story of Christmas, Jesus Christ came into this world. He died on the cross of Calvary, a very cruel death on the cross of Calvary, so that you and I can have life and have life eternal. Again, as I said, love versus lust, that is a counterculture to the culture that we live today. Give also is not a culture that we live today. The world that we live today is selfish, not self-giving, isn't it? As someone said, we live in a culture that says, what is mine, and what is yours is also mine. What is mine, what is yours is also mine. That's why there's so much of corruption. We live in a world of selfishness, self-centeredness, not self-giving. But at Christmas is a reminder that God is willing to give Himself up. and died on the cross of Calvary. By nature, we are selfish people, isn't it? That's why even nowadays we have those photographs, selfie. We want to show ourselves. And sometimes even in our group photos, if you have a group photos after this, when the picture come out, what do you look? Do you look at the whole picture? You look at yourself first. If you look good, then the picture is good. But if you don't look good, the picture is not good. We, by nature, we are selfish. We think only of ourselves. We think how to grab, how to exploit others. But Christmas is a celebration where God reminded us that this God of Christmas is a self-giving God. And I'm reminded of Mother Teresa. I'm reminded of Mother Teresa. All of us are aware who Mother Teresa is. She worked in Calcutta among the poorest of the poor. You know, when Mother Teresa went first to Calcutta, the administration there did not like her. So the deputy commissioner or the collector sent a letter through the SP, the police, as a letter that asked Mother Teresa to leave Calcutta immediately. But when this police officer went to Mother's house, the door was open. But before he could knock the door, he saw something inside. He stopped at the door for a few moments, and tears start rolling from his eyes. And without giving that letter and not disturbing Mother Teresa, he left that place. He went back to his boss, the deputy commissioner, and he said, "Sir, I've come back, but I've not given this letter to Mother Teresa." And the DC was so angry with him. He said, "What happened with you? I asked you to go and deliver this letter. You came back with that letter." Then this police officer looked at his superior and said, "Sir, if one day I find anyone in Calcutta doing what Mother is doing, I will give this letter." Then the DC asked him, "What was she doing that you saw that moves you?" Again, with tears in his eyes, this police officer said, "Sir, when I was about to enter her house, the door was open. I saw her, what she's doing inside. With her own hands, she cleansed, she washed a leper. With her own hands, she washed the wound of a leper." You know, a Christmas message is a message that calls for self-giving, not for self-centeredness, not for only ourselves. But we are reminded that this God who loves, because He values us, He gives Himself up and died on the cross of Calvary. And that's what even Christmas reminded us. We are called to give. May this season will be, whether you are Christian or non-Christian, doesn't matter which religion you come. If you celebrate Christmas, the true meaning of Christmas to celebrate is to give. Is to sacrifice what you have. Not to give the leftover. Many times we give to people what is left over, isn't it? But we are called to give and sacrifice. And let us be aware and not be driven by the market world, which will destroy us. I was surprised nowadays, you see, even it comes in the newspaper every time that this IITians get this pay package. And as if that is everything in life. I wish it comes in a newspaper, this IITian or IIM is giving up something to work for the poor and the needy. That is the message of Christmas. For God so loved the world that He gave. And thirdly, and finally, God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that those who ever believe in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The promise of hope, that means everlasting life, is not just number of years to live, that I live forever. As someone said like this, it's not just the adding years to your life, but also life to your years. You may live 100 years but live a miserable life, isn't it? But you may live 40 years but live a very fulfilling life. It's not just the length of life, but the quality of life. Christmas message is that God loves us, He gives, so that we can have that quality of life. And we can only have that quality of life if we have that hope of forgiveness, restoration, and wholeness. All of us would agree that there's something wrong in this world, isn't it? As you look politically, just yesterday was the newspaper happened in Pakistan. Hundreds of children were killed, were brutally killed. You see all around the world there's hatred, there's killing. There is a lot of problems all around the world. But I like what someone said. The heart of the problem is the problem of the heart. You know, when you see problem outside, it doesn't begin there outside. It begins from within. Before war would happen between one nation and the other nation, it begins from within. The problem of our hearts. Because within us, we are broken, we are disturbed. I like what an actor by the name Shekhar Kapoor, I don't know whether you've heard him, very popular actor, producer. He was asked to inaugurate a cosmetic shop in Bombay. You know, cosmetic shop where they sell all those creams and all these things. He said these words which are very interesting. Listen to this carefully. And this comes from a very popular man. He said, cosmetic company are trying to turn India into a nation of albinos. No dark area on any part of our bodies, except maybe our hearts. Got a cream for that? You know, this cosmetic industry, trying to, anything that is something wrong, you can always straighten it, isn't it? And he raised a very interesting question. He said, there's no cream for the heart. Even my heart, in other words, he's crying and said, there is dirt, there's pimple in my heart, there's problem in my heart. Is there cream for my heart? I think this is a cry, a universal cry, where we look for answer, we look for restoration, we look for forgiveness, because there is brokenness within us. You know, you may call it sin, you may call it bad karma, you may call it ignorance, whatever name you may call it. But when you look deep inside, we know there is problem within us. I used to say this, suppose you get an invitation for this meeting today and said in this hall, there is an X-ray that can see what is there in your heart and what is there in your mind. Will you come to this such meeting? No, isn't it? We don't want others to see what is inside us. Because there is darkness, there is war, there is struggles, there is brokenness within us. That's why there is a universal cry for that cream for the heart. If ever you have visited Calcutta, why is Calcutta called Calcutta? Because of the Kali temple. Okay? Because of Kali temple. Whenever I go to Calcutta, friends who like to go to the Kali temple. And whenever you go to Kali temple, one of the interesting things there is that you observe. When you observe, you'll find many people would come to the temple with animals and offer that animal to a priest, and the priest would cut that animal, and when that animal is killed, they'll take that blood and sprinkle that blood. And they believe through the sprinkling of that blood of the animal in that temple, there will be forgiveness, there will be restoration for their life and for their family. You know, there's a cry for all of us, whether you go in Calcutta, you go to Shekhar Kapoor, go anywhere, there is a cry. I don't know how many of you also coming to this meeting with that cry of brokenness. And that is meant why the Bible said, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that those who ever believe in Him will have everlasting life, forgiveness and restoration. Because as I said, Jesus did not come into this world as a tourist. He came and died on the cross of Calvary, so that through the shedding of His blood, there will be forgiveness and restoration of our sins. And there will be a breakthrough in our life. Like what Mahatma Gandhi said. Mahatma Gandhi said these words. Mahatma Gandhi made the comment that of all the truths of the Christian faith, the one that stood supreme to him was the cross of Jesus Christ. He granted it. It was without parallel. It was the innocent dying for the guilty, the pure exchange for the impure. That is the cross that He came and died for you and for me. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only begotten Son, that those who ever believe in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. Christmas is a celebration of love, is a celebration of self-giving, and it is a celebration of forgiveness and restoration for our life. I've started with a poem. I'll close with this poem and read to you. And this poem is a reflection of what Jesus did 2,000 years back. And it was written by Dr. James Allen in 1926. Listen to this. He talks about Jesus Christ who was born on Christmas Day. The title of the poem is One Solitary Life. He was born in an obscure village, the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in another obscure village where he worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30. Of course, that time there was no IT industry. He worked in a carpenter shop. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never went to college. He never visited a big city. He never traveled more than 200 miles from the place where he was born. He did none of these things usually associated with greatness. He had no credential but himself. He was only 33. His friends ran away. One of them denied him. He was turned over to his enemies and went through the mockery of a trial. He was nailed on a cross between two thieves. While dying, his executioners gambled for his clothing, the only property he had on earth. When he was dead, he was laid in a borrowed grave through the pity of a friend. Listen to this. 20 centuries have gone and have come and gone. And today, Jesus is the central figure of a human race and the leader of humankind's progress. All the armies that have ever marched, all the navies that have ever sailed, all the parliaments that have ever sat, all the kings that have ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of mankind on earth as powerfully as this one solitary life. May God bless each one of you, and may you have a meaningful Christmas where you will experience the love of God because you are valuable before God, just as you are. And that we will learn to understand that God gave Himself up, and Christmas is a time to give ourselves up. And last but not the least, Christmas is a time where Jesus Christ came to restore, to forgive, and give us eternal life. Merry Christmas, and God bless you.